I'm going to show you how I paint this green glass vase using watercolor. I hope that this will give you a little bit of insight in working with transparent color and building a watercolor through transparent glazes. So this is the inspiration image, and this will be the final painting. So before I begin, what I want to look for is some basic shapes, soft edges and hard edges, and highlights and shadows. Ultimately, I almost want to picture this painting as if it were in black and white. And if you're having difficulty seeing that and are distracted by the color, you can always just filter it or flip it into a black and white image on your computer or using a software app. And this will kind of isolate those shapes and patterns to help you easily identify lights, mediums, and darks. In this particular image, I've just used a filter to kind of create a poster-like quality to show you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different values. And hopefully this will help you to kind of navigate a really complex map of shape and color. So I start with a basic sketch using a 2H pencil. Here's a nice close-up look. You can even see, while I don't recommend shading in the stems, I have shaded them out temporarily because I know that they're going to be much darker and painted with darker pigment. I start by wetting the vase all over. I have not done any masking at this point. I'm applying a nice juicy layer of water. That way the paint just sort of floats on the surface and doesn't penetrate or stain the paper right away. I'm taking care to make sure that the handle of the brush is pointing inward and the tips of the bristles are pointing towards the edge. I'm using Hooker's Green Dark with a little bit of burnt umber, which just gives me a slightly more natural green. Now I'm just bringing in streaks of gamboge, which is a nice transparent yellow. I'm dropping in a little bit of phthalo blue, and now I'm just sort of spreading out the paint a little bit, and I'm using my 1-inch wash brush to lift some of that paint up. At this point, you can actually dry it up. I like using a hair dryer because that speeds the drying time and really helps to flatten out any buckling in the paper. My next step is to use masking fluid. In this case, I'm using Pebeo drawing gum. And you only want to use masking fluid on a dry surface and with a synthetic brush. I like to put a little bit of soap on my brush first to protect the bristles. So I wet my brush and soap my brush, and then I wipe a little bit of the excess soap off of the brush because I don't want to contaminate the masking fluid. And then I can safely dip into the masking fluid without introducing too much soap. Now I'm using a number 6, and what I want to do is just highlight some of the edges, anything that I want to protect that is in this existing foundational color, those initial washes that are nice and pale. I'm just kind of masking out any shapes that I want to preserve. So you can see the brightest areas of the vase here. I can just focus on the thinner lines. Basically anything that's a little too small to paint around when I go to paint my next layer of wash. You never want to leave masking fluid on there for too long. Now I'm moving to my fan brush. And the reason for this is we've got a little bit of texture, and I love using my synthetic fan brush. And what we're doing here is creating some really pale little glass bubbles, and they might be water bubbles or they might be flaws in the glass, but that will kind of give me a really fun texture to work with. We're also going to let this dry. You never want to paint on top of wet masking fluid. Here I am working on a dry surface. Now this yellow looks a little bit dirty, but that's just because we've got that green brown underneath. And I'm using the gamboge here once again. I prefer it to cadmium yellow because it's a lot more transparent. And I'm just blocking in some basic shapes. Working on dry gives me nice hard edges. Working on wet gives you soft edges. This way you can control your shapes a little bit more and kind of of work as if they're like little puzzle pieces. Now I'm dropping in that Hooker's Green Dark with a little bit of that burnt umber, and you can see where it hits the dry paper, it's nice and crisp. Where it hits the wet areas of the gamboge that are still active, it bleeds beautifully. Don't be shy to fully saturate these areas with color. Watercolor always dries a little bit lighter anyhow, so it's nice to kind of get that richer color in. Now, if I don't want the colors to mix together, then I won't stir them up on the surface together. I kind of just float them in and let them be. The more you stir it up, the more those two colors become a new third color. Here I am working with the Hooker's Green Dark mixture again, on dry, just kind of figuring out some of the shapes that I want to preserve. You can see with that more turquoisey tone, I've introduced some phthalo blue, working on dry, really getting some of the color of the glass showing up now. So this is what the image looks like thus far compared to the photo. Now, that lower section that I had been working on before is just at the point of being damp. What that means for me is that I can go in with a brush that just has water on it and actually open up some really cool blooms. So the water is kind of spreading that pigment and it's splitting it and creating these lovely blooms that give us very spontaneous and abstract shapes. After that, I'm just moving on to a more kind of earthy tone. I've got a bit of raw sienna on my brush. Again, this isn't meant to be a tutorial that you could follow along with, as it's a little too fast-paced, but I hope it gives you a glimpse into some of the process and how efficiently you can work, especially when it's high speed. So here I am using the phthalo blue, and then I want to point out how absolutely gorgeous that kind of muddy, earthy yellow looks with that phthalo blue. The contrast of the chroma or the saturation of the phthalo blue is nice and crisp, and then it just, I think, is such a beautiful foil for that earthy gold color. I'm just going down to the bottom here and lifting out some of the now dry areas of the greener and yellow colors along the edges. So I'm just lifting up some of the highlights using a flat synthetic brush. I'm using all of the brushes from my line of brushes. These white brushes, although they're not super duper to paint with, I use them for a lot of my special effects because of the firm nature of the bristles. So I've got a little bit of water on this square. This is my 1/2 inch. And because it's rigid, it actually lifts the pigment up beautifully. And you can do this on dry or damp. And I'm using a little bit of Kleenex to kind of blot that excess pigment away as it builds up. So I'm kind of scanning, and there I am blotting, scanning and looking for subtle highlights that, rather than masking and giving me super duper hard edges, the lifting kind of creates a nice soft edged shape or line. I can also use this lifting technique not just to lift out lines, but to lift out entire shapes to kind of soften them and take that hard edge off. Now that that's dry, I'm actually layering with a little bit of ultramarine blue, and this layering process is often referred to as glazing. So now I'm just kind of softening that edge and blending it in. But I needed that line to be sharp, so I was working on dry. And that's what a true glaze is usually all about, is working on dry with transparent color. So you can see, especially through that center, I wanted a nice highlight that's kind of softened and blurred. Now I'm going to be just adding a little bit more ultramarine and letting it bleed down some of those active areas. Here I'm bringing in some dioxazine violet. It's my favorite violet to work with. I think it's absolutely gorgeous and nice and neutral, and it's just like the perfect color because it's transparent. It glazes beautifully as well. And I'm working slightly into the damp area in that middle section of the vase, and then the lower section is dry. Now I'm bringing in some phthalo blue. You can see I'm not too concerned because this vase has so many beautiful and interesting abstract shapes. I'm actually not too concerned about the exactness of the forms. And it's time to safely remove some of the masking fluid. So I'm just using my rubber cement pickup here. I'll have some links down below in the description for all of these tools and supplies that I'm using if you're interested. I'm going back to my firm, flat synthetic brush with water on it to just soften any edges that I feel are a little too harsh. And you can see how beautifully that lifts. It just sort of eradicates those hard lines. And I blot to get rid of any of that dirty, extra watery pigment that's being reactivated. So that just clears it away. The paper's still wet, so I'm continuing on, just looking for areas that I can glaze with the phthalo blue. So the paint that I'm bringing in past the water line is going to be hitting a dry surface, and that's going to be giving me hard edge shapes. So it's kind of fun to be playing with the soft blurry shapes above the waterline and then those really crisp shadowy shapes below the waterline. Here I'm just working between the Hooker's Green Dark, the phthalo blue, and then the gamboge, adding some texture to the branches themselves, making them a little bit more voluminous. Now I'm going back to the lifting just to lift out some of those hard edges and any softer highlights, as I explained earlier, bringing in a little bit more of an amber color now to the branches. That will make them stand apart from the cool green tone, so a lot more of a reddish tone here. This is burnt umber and burnt sienna. Now I'm introducing a bit of Prussian blue, which is kind of like a dark denim blue. If you have any questions about color or you're unsure or feel a little bit insecure about color mixing, you can download my color charts. That's an option and it's super affordable. It has every recipe basically that I've used since the dawn of time and takes kind of the guesswork out of it for you. So you can click one of the links and it'll take you right to those beautiful little recipe templates. Working on dry, just finishing up some of the harder edges and lines and shapes within the stems. Loving some of these darker, richer browns and dark army greens. And here is the final piece entitled Enchanted. It is an 18 by 18 inch watercolor on cold pressed paper. Friends, I would really be grateful if you liked this video and subscribe to my channel. This helps me to continue creating free content for viewers like you. You can also follow me on Facebook or Instagram at Crystal Beshara Artist. If you'd like to dive a little deeper into your artistic journey with me, all of my full-length video tutorials are available through my website at crystalbeshara.com/shopvideos. Each video has written prompts as well as real-time footage, techniques, and pro tips. They also come with a downloadable printable kit with a complete list of materials, reference images, and the art lessons are yours to keep, and you can stream or download to watch anywhere, anytime. All of these links are listed below in the description. By subscribing to my newsletter, you receive 15% off my line of brushes. You'll be among the first to know about promotions, shows, tutorials, inspiring blog entries, and workshops either at my home studio near you or abroad. Thanks again for watching and see you in the next time.